The purple blood dragons that were standing the closest to Suiping rushed toward him, approaching him with tremendous force. Suiping frowned. He lifted his fist at once, pouring astral powers into his arm. The fist of Exorcist surged with a golden glow. Boom! Space was pushed into layers. A dark grey space appeared along with a loud noise, and energy was being sucked into it, appearing and disappearing constantly. The purple blood dragons that were charging toward Suiping were pushed away by the impact. They were unhurt because Suiping had pulled his punches. "Hold your horses! I'm not your enemy," Suiping declared. The dragons were startled by the force of that punch. "He can crush the void. Is he at the heavenly dragon rank? How can it be? He's just a pathetic creature. He is weak, and that is obvious," the dragons discussed, surprised. Dragons regarded as heavenly dragons were the top-tier predators in that dragon world. Even so, that doesn't make his behavior excusable. How dare a pathetic creature like you crave for our dragon origin? Prepare to die." The bulky purple blood dragon took a step forward and coldly looked down at Suiping from a height. The strong surge of energy around the dragon created some greyish marks around it. Those marks were extended like many tentacles, cutting up space. The dragon was able to manipulate space just by emitting energy, which had astounded all the other dragons. "Go to hell!" The dragon did nothing else but lift its paws, and yet, space had been crushed. In the meantime, a shocking force suddenly rushed out through the nothingness. Suiping observed. Even though he didn't detect any energy coming at him, the rich experience he had gained from other battles told him that danger was coming. Suiping vanished on the spot and reappeared several hundred meters away. The next second, the blur he had left was torn apart by the dragon's claw. The blur was not the only thing crushed. The space around the blur had also collapsed. The dragon was unhappy since Suiping had been able to avoid its attack. The dragon furiously unleashed more energy. A green palm with a dark purple hue was generated. That wasn't the hand of a dragon, but of some ancient creature. That palm was more than 100 meters tall, which vanished into the void. Suiping suddenly felt space around him had been frozen, as if the air had turned into cement. He had been immobilized on the spot. At the same time, the void around him cracked and the huge hand that had vanished emerged again, and he was right in the middle of that palm. The fingers closed, trying to crush Suiping to death. Suiping unleashed his astral powers. The force field appeared behind him and many demons and fiends were inside. Suddenly, two demons broke free from some unspeakable shackles, pounced at Suiping and grabbed his shoulders to pull themselves out. With the help of the two demons, the red glow in Suiping's eyes shone ever so brightly and he gained more strength. Suiping yelled, broke free from the palm, and charged at the purple blood dragon. "Take this!" Suiping bellowed. Boom! The glow from the fist was as glaring as the sun. The purple blood dragon was taken aback. Suiping's punch was too fast and too vicious that space was collapsing. The dragon didn't think it could take the hit. Still, the dragon lifted its limbs out of instinct, ready to use a bloodline defensive skill. There came a loud noise and tremor on the mountain. Dust was stirred up, blotting everyone's view before it was blown away by the wind. Suiping was trying to catch his breath while floating in the air. In front of him was the purple blood dragon, which remained unhurt, but there was a pit with a diameter of several hundred meters next to the dragon. "I am here for the dragon origin, not to make myself your enemy," Suiping said, panting. Again, he had shown mercy. The purple blood dragon was in a daze. The pit next to it was an eyesore. The large dragon took a few steps back. Suiping was about to start the negotiation that he thought was going to happen, when he heard the purple blood dragon screaming, set into formation. "Kill him! Kill him!" All the other purple blood dragons screamed in agreement. The purple blood dragons began to unleash some kind of purple aura that was interconnected to form a certain ancient formation. The dragon that was able to generate the most profound purple aura was the one that struck Suiping. The dragon stayed at the center of the formation, gaining more momentum than before. You're asking for the dragon origin? How dare you? Go to hell, that purple blood dragon shouted. All the purple aura poured back into the dragon, which was growing larger and larger, until it reached a height of close to 500 meters. The dragon waved its paws as the energy gathered around its chest. That dark purple palm appeared again, only this time, even the forearm was visible, some mysterious patterns were engraved on the forearm. That palm seemed to be strong enough to topple the sky, it was pressing down on Suaping. Suaping was speechless. He had pulled his punches twice, but still, it didn't earn him a chance to negotiate peacefully. Suaping clenched his hands as he stared at the mighty palm pressing on him. He understood that negotiating was out of the question. The only way out was resorting to violence. He would resort to so much violence that the dragons would kneel in front of him. Ah! Suaping dashed toward the sky, shouting, burning his blood to unleash great powers. Behind him, the third demon climbed out from the force field. Boom! The demon added even more energy to Suaping. He shouted as he charged toward that palm. Boom! That palm came down to crush Suaping. But Suaping threw himself toward that palm. While carrying a golden glow, the fist of Exorcist bumped into the palm. The palm was incredibly tough. Even though it had been slowed down by the fist of Exorcist, the palm was still whooshing down. Space would freeze wherever the palm passed. Suaping felt his energy was draining. While that feeling was subtle, he was getting a sense that time was being robbed away from him. That was a star rank skill. Boom! Suaping smashed himself right into the palm. Undoubtedly, his body was crushed and he was reduced into a mist of blood. The little skeleton that he had merged with was also turned to pieces. The different thing was that the little skeleton had survived. It was regenerated in the void. But at the same time, Suaping re-emerged on the spot as well. The palm had already gone past the area by the time he came back to life, whooshing down toward the ground behind Suaping. Suaping didn't even look back at that palm. He summoned the little skeleton. As white bones entangled him, he was able to burn his blood once more. The energy was surging out of him as if it would never be exhausted. Come on! Suaping bellowed as he charged toward the purple blood dragon. The smug smile was erased from the purple dragon's face when Suaping reappeared in the air. This had completely shocked the dragon. The rest of the dragons were staring in bewilderment. The trembling in their scales spoke of their terror. Was that traveling back in time? But the ability to manipulate time was something that could only be mastered by creatures at the star rank. Boom! Making the most of the time window created by the purple dragon's shock, Suaping reached the dragon and punched at the soft spot that was between its jaw and its neck. The scales fell off, revealing a deep, bloody wound. Chapter 532 I will make you the best of dragons. The dragons bellowed one after the other. The purple blood dragons unleashed many legendary skills. The energy was boiling in the air, space was turbulent, and chaotic energy storms were condensing on Suaping's head like a purple cloud. But there was violent energy inside, and any strand of that energy was enough to easily kill a legendary rank creature. All the purple blood dragon's energy was pooled together. That was their combined strength. Kill him! He shall be buried with our deceased kin. All the purple blood dragons were screaming. That purple cloud came whooshing down on Suaping. It had a force that was enough to reduce him into dust particles. Suaping looked up at the cloud, his eyes blood red. He no longer had to worry about outworking himself or burning too much energy while being at the cultivation site. He was shouting, begging, craving for more energy, more. I'll burn my blood but give me strength. Roar! Behind him, the Skeleton King appeared. It was shouting, with a voice that came from hundreds of millions of years before. The white bones around Suaping were contracting, squeezing more and more blood out of him. He was soaked in blood but he had gained more energy than ever before. He sacrificed his blood in exchange for power, and he gathered all his strength on his fist. Break! Suo Ping screamed. The fist of exorcist was taking effect. He punched at the space above his head. While carrying the golden glow, the fist was like a rising sun that was smashing into the mass of purple energy. Boom! The ground shook but made no sound. A mushroom cloud appeared in the sky, and again, there was no noise. That glaring light vanished the instant it appeared because a black hole was manifested in the sky, as if a portal to a different world had been opened up. The blood-soaked person was diving toward the purple blood dragons on the ground. Go to hell! Suo Ping shouted as he punched out. He was able to crack the space with every punch. Those purple blood dragons were either at the ocean state or the void state. Even though they were pooling their strength, they were unable to withstand the fierce punch. They were all instantly wounded. Bang! 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 Suo Ping dashed around madly to attack the purple blood dragons. None of them were left unhurt. They were either severely wounded or killed on the spot. The dragons of other kinds were shivering in fear at the sight of that mad person. No other creature had ever had the guts to make such a scene at that holy mountain. He had killed so many purple blood dragons. Is he going to finish them all? As they stared at the demonic human, the dragons wondered if they should lend a hand to the purple dragons. While they still pondered over that choice, Suo Ping had already finished more than a dozen purple blood dragons. The void state beasts tried to put up shields, but even that was not enough to stop them from being killed by Suo Ping. Before he knew it, Suo Ping had attained the Fist of Exorcist's second level. Adding his base strength, he could be comparable to the Fate state. Crushing dragons at the void state was a piece of cake for him. I'll finish them all. While Suo Ping had previously shown mercy to those purple blood dragons, he didn't think twice to kill them at the moment. He spared no strength. He didn't mind the counter-attacks, nor did he try to defend. Soon, a purple blood dragon seized a perfect chance and crushed Suo Ping's head. Still, he came back to life the next second. He was at his prime state again. White bones climbed over him. He burned his blood to increase his strength for the killing. You are the one. Don't you run. Suo Ping noticed the purple blood dragon he had ridden on. Suo Ping wore his black hair down and he was soaked in blood. He forced his way forward, pushing away from the other dragons and stepping toward that particular dragon. That purple blood dragon was so scared that its scales were turning pale. The coldness was long gone from that pair of dragon eyes, fear had replaced it. The dragon had never imagined that the human could be that crazy. Instead of apologizing, he had started a killing spree. That lowly being was a creature that had exceeded its wildest imaginations. The most confounding thing of all was that Suo Ping was able to revive. 2 times he had died and yet returned to life on the spot. The dragon had started to wonder if Suo Ping was at the star rank. If so, Suo Ping would have simply his ability to manipulate time and none of them would have had the ability to land a strike back. You! Don't you come over! Suo Ping was moving closer with vigorous strides. The purple blood dragon was no longer able to push down its fear. Never did it think that it would be afraid of an outside creature and would beg for mercy, right at their home base. Go to hell! Suo Ping replied to that call for mercy with a bellow. He stepped across the void and stomped on the dragon's back. It was as if Suo Ping were carrying a mountain on his back. The dragon was pinned to the ground and then Suo Ping punched the dragon's head. The purple blood dragon's cry barely came out when its head was split up. The warm brains were spilled over Suo Ping. He didn't even put up his astral shield. He was a fully unleashed wild beast. After killing that dragon, Suo Ping turned around and glared at the others. The purple blood dragons that were eager to fight Suo Ping were completely intimidated at the moment. They never thought that such an unworthy being would ever deter them. Them, the dragons. Of all the creatures in the universe, they were the best ones, the kings. But a human was making them feel afraid. Astonishment was not the only common sensation, humiliation was also felt. And yet, upon seeing the blood-stained human and the brains of their peers, the anger that was formerly inspired by the humiliation had instantly died down. That was not a human, it was a demon that had crawled out from hell. The dragons were stepping backward. They would wait for any of the big shots that Suoping had alerted to arrive and execute him. The dragons from other breeds were staring in pure astonishment as Suoping stood in the pool of blood while no other dragon dared to approach him. How shocking this was, nothing of the sort had ever happened in that place. They would have never believed it if they hadn't witnessed it with their own eyes. Tell me. Where is the dragon origin? Suoping glared at a purple blood dragon in front of him. The purple blood dragon was shivering, it was clearly intimidated. Lowlife, you won't have your way for long. Wait for our saint to come. That will be the time you die. But you won't live long enough to even say that. Suoping tore up the space and reached the purple blood dragon directly. He was merely the size of a single dragon scale, and yet the dragon trembled even more violently as Suoping stood next to him. Boom! Suoping instantly threw a punch, and the dazzling light illuminated the pupils of that purple blood dragon. Light flooded in the next moment, and the huge dragon head burst open. There was broken space around that crushed head. Even the space had been torn open. Suoping turned over and shouted at another purple blood dragon. Where is the dragon origin? Tell me. The dragon was shivering after seeing the miserable death of its peer. The one that Suoping had just killed had been at the void state, while this new dragon was merely at the ocean state. Since not even a stronger one stood a chance, the dragon at the ocean state felt that death was at its door. While Suoping was a tiny human being, he was the gravest danger in the whole world. The dragon could not help but step back. The dragon origin is at the peak of the mountain. Go ahead if death is what you desire. The dragon's voice was trembling. The peak. Suoping stopped and gazed at the mountain top. There was a staircase that led to the mountain top. Without further ado, Suoping flew toward the peak. Completely appalled, no purple blood dragon stepped forward to stop him. Several thousand meters into the sky, Suoping suddenly felt some force was pressing down on him. He made an effort to go higher and that force was becoming stronger. Having no other choice, Suoping descended to the ground. The mysterious force disappeared as he landed on that staircase. He was able to reach the 7,000 meters mark. I cannot believe he just resisted the rule set up by our Lord. Utterly inconceivable. The dragons, be it purple-blooded or not, were equally shocked at what Suoping had done. There were rules in force on the mountain. From the hillside and above, creatures that weren't purple-blood dragons were barred from flying, and that was one of the rules. Suoping had ascended up to 7,000 meters even when such a rule was in effect, which was unimaginable. The dragons at the fate state wouldn't have been able to do so. Whoosh! As the force confining him disappeared, Suoping dashed as he went up the staircase. The bolts of lightning surrounding his feet generated many afterimages. Suoping pressed on with speed and agility as if he were nothing but a puff of smoke. He was running even faster than he was flying. There must be a dragon at the star rank at the top of the mountain. Suoping thought of what the purple blood dragons had just mentioned. The mountain top was hiding in the clouds. The mountain was simply too high for him to see it completely. Regardless, Suoping was not going to give up. Suoping's blood was burning and the little skeleton kept on transmitting strength to him so that he was able to use his full speed at all times. He was traveling much faster than sound, at a speed of 2,000 to 3,000 meters per second. Titled battle pet warriors would be unable to see him in this state. However, even with such a fast speed, it took him over a dozen minutes before he arrived at the mountain top. Boom! Something whooshed over when his foot landed on the last step of the stairs. There was a tremor, and Suoping was almost knocked off the staircase. Fortunately, thanks to his rich experience, Suoping managed to stabilize himself. He gazed into the distance. On the horizon of that vast and flat land lay a purple lake. The purple water was giving off a mysterious aroma, and Suaping also sensed a strong presence of dragons. Suaping quickly inquired about this to the system. Is that the dragon origin? That is correct. Suaping nodded and sighed gently. Finally, he had found it. The dragon origin was right in front of him. Suaping took a deep breath. He peeled his gaze off from the lake and glanced at the many figures on the sides that could not be ignored. All of them were purple blood dragons. There were 8 of them in total. Each of them was larger than the ones Suaping had seen at the hillside. They were nearly 500 meters tall, larger than the dragon at the fate state that Suaping had exerted himself to slay. There was something immensely powerful about those purple blood dragons. And yet, what he had learned from the demigod burial told him that the 8 were at the very peak of the fate state and not the star rank. They lacked a certain aura of the star rank. Soon after, Suaping saw another purple blood dragon he did not notice just then. That was one over 1,000 meters long and with dusty purple scales. The purple blood dragon was lying on top its limbs by the lake. The dragon kept its eyes half open, still. It pierced Suaping with a stare that was void of all emotions. Suaping felt a chill running down his spine. Even though it was just a stare, it made him want to shiver. Star rank. There was no question. That purple blood dragon was at the star rank. However scared he was, Suaping didn't step back. He had made it thus far. That was the final step. How do I revive the Inferno Dragon with the dragon origin? Suaping asked the system. To that, the system explained, let the Inferno Dragon's soul soak in the dragon origin and the dragon origin will help the Inferno Dragon rebuild its body. The dragon origin's nature is kind to all dragons. That explained it. Suaping took a step forward. Boom! An intangible force was in effect. One of the dragons used a skill that had not only confined the space around Suaping, but also turned the air into a hammer that was coming down on Suaping. Suaping unleashed all of his strength to withstand the blow, but cracks had started to show up on the white bones. How can it be? One of the purple blood dragons resting on the right side wore a surprised look. It was astounding that Suaping had survived that strike. You lowlife! How dare you break into our sacred mountain? Your entire race shall be exterminated. That purple blood dragon made a verdict. Hardly had its voice faded away when space around Suaping was split up. From the cracks came many swords formed by the void. Suaping hurried to wave his fist. However, those swords were incredibly sharp and fast, they had cut him into pieces within a mere second. Bang! Blood rained down. However, the blood rain disappeared the next second, and Suaping came back into being on the spot. That is not right. As Suaping's revival came into effect, the purple blood dragons opened their eyes wide. Surprise was seen inside their formerly calm eyes. Time travel. The purple blood dragon that was resting by the lake squinted its eyes. That should be a skill mastered only by those at the star rank or above, but the human was definitely not one of them. I don't think the human himself used the skill. Did he use some sort of artifact? The purple blood dragon's eyes glimmered with greed as they discussed the possibility. Such a treasure! It would be appealing to them as well. Indeed, you must have something up your sleeve for daring to come up here after what you did down there. But, no matter what ace cards you have, you will have to hand them over to us. The purple blood dragon that landed the previous strike on Suaping snarled. Once it made its intention clear, swords made from the void snuck out from the space around Suaping again. He disregarded the swords. He had merged with the little skeleton and started to run at full speed. His goal was to reach the dragon origin. No matter what the cost was, he had to get the Inferno Dragon into the dragon origin. Bang! Those sharp void swords were cutting Suaping up. That purple blood dragon was at the peak of the fate state and all it needed was an inspiration to reach the star rank. That dragon was much more powerful than the dragons Suaping had encountered at the hillside. Revival. He resumed his charge as soon as he revived. How? The purple blood dragon was unable to believe Suoping's revival could be repeated. The dragon conjured up void swords right in front of Suoping. The dragon was going to completely annihilate him. Go away! Suoping screamed as he punched out. He ignored the strikes coming at him from behind and he pushed his way forward. With a bang and a shake, the swords of void were crushed. But the sword light that remained did leave many marks on the white bones, as well as the areas unprotected by the white bones. Suoping was once again drenched in blood. Regardless, Suoping dashed on. That purple blood dragon was full of wrath. The dragon produced many swords yet again. This time, Suoping was unable to survive. The moment he died, he came back to life again and continued his effort of moving along. Each time, before he was killed, he was able to move several thousand meters ahead. He died, time after time, but he was able to send the Inferno Dragon closer to the dragon origin. The purple blood dragon was livid with rage. It was unethical for anyone to employ such dishonest methods. It had killed Suoping a dozen times over, but he came back to life every time. Enough was enough. He's trying to get to the dragon origin. Stop him. He is just a lowlife. We cannot allow him to soil the dragon origin. The purple blood dragons readied themselves, having realized what Suoping intended to do. Several purple blood dragons at the peak of the fate state attacked Suoping simultaneously. He died yet again and of course, he came back to life yet again. As soon as he could breathe again, he would merge with the little skeleton and charge forth for a few thousand meters. Bang! Unsurprisingly, he walked to his death. Damn him! How can he come back to life so many times? What kind of artifact can that be? The purple blood dragons were hopping mad. Their strikes were relentless and so were Suoping's revivals. Their strikes couldn't be said to be useless because they managed to kill Suoping every time. It was just that killing him was no good. Like a haunting ghost, his evil life force lingered on, completely ignoring the dragons. After over 100 deaths, finally, Suoping reached the dragon origin. Right then, the purple blood dragon at the star rank said something. You're not a dragon. Why do you insist on getting the dragon origin? The purple blood dragons stopped their futile efforts and eyed Suoping coldly. I want to bring my dragon pet back to life. I have to borrow the dragon origin, Suoping stated. Suoping was surprised after having answered that question. It wasn't done out of his own free will. That dragon was able to make him speak without himself being aware. Dragon pet? The old dragon calmly asked, is it one of us? Let me see. Maybe, I just might let you use some of the dragon origin to bring your dragon back to life. Suoping summoned the Inferno Dragon after a moment of hesitation. There wasn't much to do at this point. The Inferno Dragon came out in that soul nurturer. After a surge of red smoke, the Inferno Dragon's image showed up on that translucent blade of grass. The Inferno Dragon was startled to see so many powerful dragons gathered in one place. Is that an Inferno Dragon? I think so. An Inferno Dragon was not what the purple-blooded dragons had expected to see. All of them supposed that Suoping was going to summon one of their kind, or a dragon of the other major species here. Little did they know that the dragon Suoping had spoken of was one that didn't even have a legendary rank bloodline. Inferno dragons did call the realm of purple blood dragons home, but they were counted among the weak residents. As far as the purple blood dragons were concerned, Inferno dragons were nothing worth mentioning and they never even saw Inferno dragons as their own kind. The old dragon was visibly surprised as well. Why would Suoping use such a pathetic dragon as his pet when he had such powers? Do you honestly want to use our dragon origin to bring this sorry little thing back to life? That is not worthy of the dragon name. I wouldn't even take it as my food. It's too dirty. The purple blood dragons didn't hide their contempt. The old dragon had cooled down. The surprise was ebbing out of its face. Is that the dragon you want to bring back to life? What the other dragons said made Suoping clench his fists. He looked up at the old dragon and replied, indeed. You have so much dragon origin. If you can let me take a share, I am willing to trade with something of an equal value. You will have nothing to lose. That won't be necessary. The old dragon sneered. All of a sudden, the Inferno dragon put on a painful look and the soul was ripped into nothingness. Suaping could not believe that. Suaping felt even the passage of time had stopped when the soul disappeared right in front of his eyes. He could not feel a thing. He lowered his head. His body was shaking uncontrollably. All the purple blood dragons should be wiped out, he mumbled. He did not shout, nor cry, it seemed that he was talking to himself. He requested for the Inferno dragon to return to life. The dispersed soul of the Inferno dragon came back. Of course, it came back as a soul. The Inferno dragon was still Suaping's battle pet and could be revived in that cultivation site. What? The old dragon, as well as the other purple blood dragons, were shocked and even frightened upon seeing the revival. Suaping was not the only one who could come back to life. Even his pet could. They were killing Suaping again and again, but the little skeleton was not a creature that could be killed. As such, the dragons had not realized that Suaping was able to bring his pet back to life. Go. Go into the dragon origin, Suaping told the Inferno dragon. The Inferno dragon floated toward the lake. The old dragon snarled. How dare you? Sing. The huge dragon stood up. The dusty color faded away from its scales, which were shining in all radiance. The old dragon didn't strike the Inferno dragon. Since Suaping was able to revive it, no amount of strikes would be of any use. The old dragon merely had the intention to show that such a pathetic dragon was unworthy of entering the dragon origin. The Inferno dragon didn't dare to go forward, all because of the large dragon's deterrent force. Even though it was just a soul, the Inferno dragon was shuddering. The Inferno dragon had met many star-ranked creatures with Suaping, and in the chaotic realm of the undead, they had encountered things that they couldn't even describe. The Inferno dragon was not a timid dragon. However, at this moment, the old dragon was directly targeting the Inferno dragon. That was not the same. The deep-rooted authority made the Inferno dragon cringe with dread, as if it were facing one of its deeply ingrained fears. The old dragon laughed with disdain. Is that what your dragon can do? Suaping opened his eyes wide and shouted hysterically, keep moving. Keep moving. Do not be afraid. One day, I will make you the most powerful dragon in this entire world. Suddenly, the Inferno dragon understood it all, why Suaping was so angry. Onward. The Inferno dragon made up its mind and took a determined step toward the dragon origin. How can you? The fact that the Inferno dragon was able to resist its deterrence came as a shock to the old dragon. A glint of coldness rose in the old dragon's eyes. Humph! The old dragon snorted. As the space trembled, the Inferno dragon was crushed into pieces. But soon after, the Inferno dragon was brought back from death. This time, before Suaping said anything, the Inferno dragon went ahead and pressed on toward the dragon origin. Keep going. Keep going forward. The Inferno dragon could see nothing but the dragon origin. Going toward the dragon origin was an order from Suaping and what he hoped for him. Roar! The Inferno dragon let out a shout that was heard only in ancient times. Even though the Inferno dragon was unable to master that roar completely, it did carry some force. The purple blood dragons came to a start. They glued their surprised glances at the Inferno dragon. The old star rank dragon was stunned to find a force close to the star rank in that roar. Where did the dragon learn it? Another question was how the dragon had learned it. It wouldn't have copied that roar after listening to it several times. The Inferno dragon would have had to listen to that every day, or have a very high power of understanding. There's something of interest in you, but it doesn't change anything, you petty thing, the old dragon asserted. The dragon altered the space and the Inferno dragon was only able to travel several meters before it died. Of course, the next second, the Inferno dragon would return to life. Keep going! Roar! The Inferno Dragon wildly charged toward the dragon origin, pressing forward with indomitable will and determination. Bang! 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 The Inferno Dragon's soul was broken into pieces time after time, but it would return to life. The Inferno Dragon's soul had died dozens of times in the span of half a minute. On average, the Inferno Dragon's soul was being broken every second. Sometimes, the Inferno Dragon was just about to take a single step forward when it was suddenly ripped apart. The other purple blood dragons watched on indifferently, not taking any actions. Since the old star rank dragon was involved, their involvement would be considered disrespectful for the old dragon. Bang! 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 The Inferno Dragon's soul alternated between life and death and kept on moving. Dozens of times, hundreds of times. The purple blood dragons were completely stunned into speechlessness as they witnessed the Inferno Dragon coming back to life hundreds of times. The old dragon was furious. That was a dirty trick. Go back! The old dragon growled as the Inferno Dragon was very close to the dragon origin. Sing! Space vibrated. The old dragon was going to turn back time, to make the Inferno Dragon go back where it started, and make all of its previous efforts futile. Soon, a glow was cast over the Inferno Dragon, then it stepped forward, but it was actually moving back. It soon stopped where it had been brought back to life the last time. The old dragon could not believe that. It could not make the Inferno Dragon go back further. The time could only be rewound to where the Inferno Dragon had died the last time, but not any further. The time before that had been isolated and there was nothing the old dragon could do. That is not possible. The old dragon was in a daze. The dragon believed that Suaping surely had used some artifact to bring himself and his pet back to life. Suaping, who was not at the star rank, couldn't have done that. The dragon was sure of its judgment about Suaping. It was highly unlikely that an artifact could outperform a dragon's skill. What could that artifact be? Something that could manipulate nature's rules? At that thought, the old dragon took its eyes off of the Inferno Dragon and instead started to focus on Suaping. Since the old dragon had just ignored the Inferno Dragon, the latter had finally made its way into the lake. The dragon origin in the lake was pulled toward the Inferno Dragon, wrapping the pet with its power. The dragon origin was like a living organism, but at the same time, it wasn't a living, breathing thing. Just like the system had mentioned, the dragon origin cared about all dragons and didn't reject Suaping's pet. Let me protect you this time. Suaping gazed at the Inferno Dragon's soul as the dragon origin covered it and told it to rest at ease as its body was being reconstructed. The Inferno Dragon turned around to look at Suaping before the dragon origin blotted its view. Soon after, Suaping felt that the Inferno Dragon's consciousness had been locked up and their communication was cut off. Suaping didn't try to force the communication, lest it would disturb his pet. The old dragon didn't mind the Inferno Dragon. A low-level dragon like that wouldn't use much of the dragon origin. Comparatively speaking, the thing that Suaping used for revivals was of greater interest. You have worked so hard just to make your pet complete again. But I will kill it after it comes out, I will kill it again and I will eat it up right in front of you. The old dragon looked down at Suaping from a height and uttered the cruel words. Suaping's dirty reviving trick had filled the old dragon with rage. The old dragon was determined to make the human feel much more pain. Suaping made his way to the dragon origin. The old dragon didn't stop him. Suaping stood in front of the lake. He cast an affectionate gaze at the Inferno Dragon, which was within the embrace of the dragon origin, before he turned around and announced to the old dragon and the other purple blood dragons, "From this point on, I will not make any concessions. Now, show me what you've got." Suaping sounded quite arrogant. The purple dragons were trying hard to hold back their urges of teaching that human a lesson. The old dragon squinted its eyes. "You can come back to life, but you don't have enough strength yet. I will freeze you up and take away your artifact. Let's see how you'll come back to life after that." Sing! As soon as the old dragon finished its words, a stream of unimaginable energy surged out and froze both time and space in front of Suoping. That was not just space confinement. Even time had been stopped. Suoping stood in front of the dragon origin, deadly still. He couldn't even blink. He couldn't even think. If the old dragon were to remove the energy, Suoping's thoughts would still be as they were a second before. He might not even realize he had just been frozen on the spot. Bang! With a mental instruction, the white bones protecting Suoping were ripped away. The old dragon brutally took them down one by one. Even pieces of flesh were attached to the white bones. The white bones floated in the air. All the white bones were removed. Suoping was skinned, and that was a scene too terrifying for the eyes. The old dragon started to search for any trace of a treasure in Suoping. The old dragon didn't ignore Suoping's clothes, not even his shoes. And yet, to the dragon's astonishment, nothing turned out after a thorough search. Nothing. The old dragon thought of the possibility that Suoping had hidden the artifact in another storage artifact, but there was nothing of that sort. The old dragon believed it would detect a trace because a storage artifact would have to use spatial strength. Such an artifact wouldn't have escaped its detection. The old dragon was full of questions. Nothing? Really? So, Suoping didn't carry that artifact with him? But how could the artifact be used in that case? The old star-ranked dragon had never heard of such a thing. Not even after it had lived for tens of thousands of years. No way! No way! The old dragon violently tore Suoping's body to pieces, going through its skin, bones, flesh, and searched every inch of it. Still, the old dragon found nothing. In a rage, the old dragon began to search Suoping's soul. That was a transparent item. The old dragon seemed to be astounded by the soul. The strength of the soul was usually linked to the person's rank. Only a secret skill could have strengthened the soul. But it was evident that Suoping's soul wasn't even at the legendary rank. It was merely at about the 9th rank. That was to say, Suoping was merely at the 9th rank. The other purple blood dragons were also stunned, and felt they had received a slap on the face. The creature that had forced its way to the dragon origin was merely at the 9th rank. No wonder that creature would use an inferno dragon, a kind that didn't even have a legendary rank bloodline. It turned out that the human himself was at a low rank. But how could he have demonstrated such strength? After the initial moment of surprise, the old dragon recognized that the white bones belonged to a small skeleton. The skeleton kings had a bloodline just as noble as that of purple blood dragons, even more distinguished. The old dragon fumbled through the white bones. Still, the dragon found nothing. The old dragon was at a loss. However, the next second, those pieces of flesh disappeared and Suoping came back. He had regained his life again. He had already died when the old dragon was searching his soul. His soul returned to the system, and of course, Suoping chose to go back. The old dragon and the other purple blood dragons shocked into stillness. None of them expected that Suoping could have revived after such a thorough death. They found nothing remotely linked to a revival artifact on Suoping. Strange. Inconceivable. The old dragon was sure that there was something it was unaware of, some sort of secrets. Otherwise, how could a 9th rank human come back to life time and time again? Not even the old dragon, which had the ability to manipulate time, could have revived itself when the death was that thorough. The old dragon stared at Suoping. You said you were willing to trade if we allowed your dragon to take the dragon origin. Now tell me, how can you come back to life repeatedly? Suoping knew that he had been killed once again. But he didn't feel that. As such, he understood that the dragon must have used the power of time. Suoping chuckled sarcastically but soon adopted a cold look. I was honest when I was trying to negotiate with you, but you turned me down. You cannot kill me and you cannot figure out the reason, so it is only now that you think about asking me nicely. But, you don't have the right to know. Suoping's words of contempt enraged the purple blood dragons. You insect! Watch your mouth. Are you seeking doom? I will track your race down and kill every single one of them. How dare you insult our king? Don't you ever think that we cannot finish your life? The old star-rank dragon pulled a long face. There must be a limit, whatever skill or artifact you are wielding. You can come back to life hundreds of times, thousands of times, but can you do so for tens of thousands of times? I will keep on killing you non-stop. Is that so? Try me. Suaping was bristling with anger. You are merely at the star rank. You're dragons, but you don't deserve to call others pathetic since you're not the best of dragons. I'm right here and I'm not going anywhere. You disdain me, right? Then come and kill me. I will fight the impossible fight against you. Suaping's wild and arrogant words lingered at the mountain top. Fight the impossible fight. Of course, the purple blood dragons were unhappy about it. Dragons should be the best of all creatures and that mortal human had just belittled them. Unforgivable. Kill him. Kill him. The purple blood dragons angrily denounced. The old dragon once again wielded its time manipulation weapon. Suaping was exterminated after a loud noise, so completely that not even a trace of him was left behind. Whoosh! The next second found Suaping once again standing in front of the dragon, very much alive. Laughing out loud, Suaping merged with the little skeleton which had died together with him, and charged toward the old dragon. Let's find out who will die first. Suaping soared to the sky and waved the fist of Exorcist. Bang! The vibration in space stopped the punch and crushed Suaping. Suaping bounced back to life once more and had restored his peak state. Shouting, Suaping carried on with that punch. The old dragon was agitated. Yet again, the dragon killed Suaping. Bang! 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 That went on several times. Suaping would be killed again as soon as he revived. But there was no limit to Suaping's revivals. He had died 10 times, dozens of times, and then over 100 times. He would always be in his prime state after coming back to life each time. On the other hand, the old dragon was evidently losing momentum after striking Suaping for more than 100 times. Being at the star rank didn't mean that it could use the energy of time indefinitely. Using that skill would constantly drain the dragon's strength. Boom! After yet another time of coming back to life, covered in white bones, Suaping threw a punch at the old dragon. With a clouded face, the old dragon smashed Suaping, breaking his bones. Still, Suaping had managed to land the punch at the dragon's claw at that final moment. A piece of the scale was broken. As far as the old dragon was concerned, that punch gave it merely a little pain, as if it had just bumped into a piece of rock. However, the thought that a 9th-ranked creature had been able to hurt it filled the old dragon with rage. It cried into the sky, and that roar dispersed all the clouds. It was heard all across the mountain. All the purple blood dragons on the mountain as well as dragons of other kinds had heard the king's roar of fury. The dragons wondered about the reason behind that fury. Those dragons at the hillside were stunned to find that the human being was still alive. What could he have possibly done to enrage the king? On the mountain top, after that shout of fury, the old dragon once again smashed Suaping to pieces, and once again, Suaping punched the old dragon. Bang! Same as before, Suaping lost his life. This time, the pain was more obvious for the old dragon. After coming back to life, Suaping merged with the little skeleton, and with a dash, he landed a punch on the old dragon's stomach. The ferocity of the punch cracked the scales. The pain infuriated the old dragon even more. After the continuous strikes, the old dragon had started to become tired. On the other hand, that human was not getting tired at all. He would be as ferocious as before each time he returned to life. The old dragon was getting bored of this, and it even started to be afraid. The human was like an annoying insect that would not die and rather, it would hurt the dragon every time. The old dragon had already vented his anger. It was no longer in the mood to strike again because it was exhausted. Suaping was revived. He stood in front of the lake. He sneered at the old dragon. Suaping merged with the little skeleton and stood by the lake, guarding the inferno dragon. As the old dragon stopped, the other purple blood dragons believed that it was their turn. Die, you bastard, die! The purple blood dragons began to manipulate space. Those dragons didn't resort to any destructive skills, for fear that they might hurt the dragon origin by which Suaping stood. The dragons could only use skills to affect space and kill Suaping with that. Try me! Suaping shouted, his eyes glowing. He punched out. The space around him rippled and some strange chains reached him and pierced him through. He immediately returned to life, standing in front of the lake. He had to raise his head to meet the dragons' gazes, but the dragons had a feeling that he was the one looking down on them. He carried with him an unyielding will. No matter how much weaker he was, and no matter how little hurt he could do to the purple blood dragons, he would fight back, with all his might. As a matter of fact, the old dragon could ignore Suaping's strikes, but not the other purple blood dragons. Suaping was a person that had the ability to kill the weaker ones at the fate state. His strikes were not without effect, those purple blood dragons were experiencing sharp pain. You vermin! Why are you still coming back to life? Why? Die! Drop dead! The purple blood dragons carried on with their attacks. Their strikes were a way for them to vent their fury in the beginning, but they had gradually become mentally disturbed since Suaping was still able to revive and hurt them. The minor injuries had developed into serious wounds. More importantly, the constant revivals had deprived the dragons of hope. It was a tiny human being, but he was a source of despair for the dragons. Some purple blood dragons decided that they could no longer take it. They wanted to seal Suaping, which would stop him from coming back to life. They would freeze Suaping for eternity until he naturally died of old age. He would not be able to revive by that point, not again. That proposal was agreed upon. The purple blood dragons thought there was a limit to Suaping's revivals. They were worn out after such a long time fighting, physically and mentally. After all, they would have to use a great amount of power each time they struck. For example, it took a normal person vigorous punches to kill prey. The person would sweat and get tired after throwing hundreds of punches, but the prey could fight back every time. Not only would the person become tired, there would also be pain. Seal him. Banish him to the evil dragon ruins. After gaining approval from the old dragon of the star rank, the other purple blood dragons worked together and froze the space around Suaping, then created many chains that trapped him inside. The accumulated strength of 8 purple blood dragons at the peak of the fate state completely immobilized Suaping. The force field was still behind Suaping, operating. The figures inside the force field were vague but intimidating. That old dragon had noticed Suaping's force field and how odd it was. But after thinking that Suaping was merely a puny human being, the old dragon decided to ignore it. While Suaping was unable to move his body, he was able to work with his mind. Those purple blood dragons had finally decided to seal him, which was what he was worried about. He struggled but was unable to regain his freedom. I think it only works on my body, but not on the astral powers inside me. Suaping noticed that. Maybe it was because he wasn't that much weaker than the purple blood dragons at the fate state. As such, they could merely stop him from moving around physically. Suaping had an idea. Bang! All the astral powers inside the cell cores began to blast out. The surge of energy was more than he had ever experienced. Still, the chaotic and uncontrollable energy was running wild and he himself was the first to be destroyed. Bang! Suaping's body was gone and so was his soul. Such a resolute suicide. Revive. Suaping returned again and he was finally free. That was to say, the purple blood dragons would have to seal him again. The dragons were stunned, then they flew into a rage. Killing himself to escape. That was unacceptable. While he glared at them, Suaping once again was standing in front of the dragon origin. The old dragon realized that the 8 purple blood dragons themselves were unable to stop Suaping. The old dragon summoned up its strength and sealed off both space and time. That would mean that Suaping's mind would no longer function and he would be unable to kill himself. Suaping was soon immobilized. Go and get the dragon spike. We must destroy his astral powers, the old dragon announced. The purple blood dragons hated themselves for not thinking about it. Once Suaping's powers were depleted, they would be able to do whatever they wanted with him. Suaping would wish he were dead. They would have the freedom to torture him at will. Whoosh! One of the purple blood dragons flew away at once. Before long, the dragon came back, bringing 3 blood-red spears which were glistening brightly. The spears didn't seem to be made of metal but some sort of polished fangs. The dragon spikes. Let's end him, the purple blood dragons bellowed. Without hesitation, the dragon pierced Suaping through with one of the spikes and nailed him on the ground in front of the lake. The blood-red spikes were quite thick. 3 would be needed if they wanted to nail a dragon. But considering how small Suaping was, 1 would be sufficient. After Suaping was impaled, the old dragon stopped freezing time and space. It would cost the dragon too much energy to continue that lock. Suaping regained his mind the moment the old dragon stopped. The first sensation he felt was pain, a piercing pain in his chest. Suaping saw that he had been impaled. He could not move at all while being nailed to the ground. The more appalling realization was that he was completely unable to feel his astral powers. What is this? Against the pain, Suaping snarled. Seeing how Suaping struggled amused the purple blood dragons. The one that was still holding the other 2 spikes sneered at Suaping. No matter how powerful you are, there's nothing you can do now that you're pinned by the spike. We only use this punishment for the most sinful dragons. You're the first pitiful creature who can enjoy this in all of our history. Soak in the feeling. Consider this an honor for you. The purple blood dragons looked down on Suaping, feeling pleased. They never imagined that one day they would be forced into such a state by such a pitiful being. What a shame! The old dragon glared at Suaping, wishing to cut him into pieces. Well, that was not a wish. The old dragon had already done that. But cutting him into pieces had not been of any use. Suaping tried to find traces of astral powers but failed in the endeavor. With a heavy mind, he tried to summon the dark dragon hound but he didn't even have the astral powers to do that. He was like a man of the common run. Suaping endured the pain as he said to the purple blood dragons, "Is this how honorable you boast yourselves to be? You use this dirty trick to imprison an opponent that you cannot defeat. Don't you feel humiliated? Punk, do not try to provoke us again. Such a pathetic move. Do you honestly think we will fall for that? I will treat you so well that you'll wish you were dead." The purple blood dragons did fall prey to Suaping's provocation. But indeed, Suaping had pointed out a harsh fact. The purple blood dragons chose to ignore that provocation. No other dragon would know if they didn't speak of that day's humiliation. He felt a disturbance in his mind while he was thinking about a solution. He wanted to look over but was unable to, considering his state. The water rippled in the lake, and a large amount of dragon origin was swimming toward the Inferno dragon. Suaping was able to tell that the Inferno dragon was coming back. The disturbance on the lake had also alerted the dragons. They flew into another wild fit of rage. "Stop it! Ah! You dirty thing! Stop it! What are you trying to do with so much dragon origin?" The enraged purple blood dragons wanted to make the Inferno dragon leave the lake. And yet, they couldn't find its current location. The Inferno dragon was at the bottom of the lake as it rebuilt its body. The turbulence in space alerted the Inferno dragon when the purple blood dragons struck, so the Inferno dragon had moved away. "Get out of here!" The purple blood dragons were losing their minds. But this time, no matter how angry and agitated they were, they didn't strike. They could harm the dragon origin if they reached too deep inside. No more dragon origin would be generated if the harm was too grave. That would mean that the purple blood dragon race would end along with the depletion of the dragon origin. The old dragon stared at the tumbling water with a grave look. A swirl appeared in the water. The Inferno dragon was at the center of the swirl and the dragon origin was surging toward it. The old dragon thought about trying to freeze time. But the special nature of the dragon origin dictated that it couldn't be frozen by time. The dragon origin continued to move toward the Inferno dragon. The old dragon would only be able to stop the dragon origin to flow away after it killed the Inferno dragon. Still, the old dragon had to be cautious, since the Inferno dragon was inside the dragon origin. Go to hell! The old dragon struck after finding the right timing. It wielded a blade of time. Those below the star rank would not be able to foresee the arrival of such a blade. Surely the Inferno dragon would be unable to detect it. The old dragon was careful. The blade was just strong enough to kill the Inferno dragon and was not as sharp, to avoid hurting the dragon origin. Bang! It went without saying that the Inferno dragon had died. Suaping furiously brought the Inferno dragon back to life. The Inferno dragon was restored to the state it was at before dying. A new body was formed and it was different from before. Mixed with the dark red scales were some dark purple scales which were found on purple blood dragons. The Inferno dragon regained its consciousness fully after coming back to life. It was a bit confused about the things that were happening. Instinct alone had told the Inferno dragon to consume that delicious thing. The Inferno dragon could then see how Suaping had been impaled to the ground. The pet dragon was immediately incensed. The water tumbled. The Inferno dragon roared. This time, it wasn't a choice spurred by instinct, the Inferno dragon chose to do so. The dragon origin was being constantly sucked into the Inferno dragon. Make it stop! Damn you! Damn you! The purple blood dragons were losing their minds and so was the old dragon. Once again, the old dragon slashed the Inferno dragon to death. Suaping brought the Inferno dragon back to life at once. The Inferno dragon had thrown itself into absorbing the dragon origin again, even before Suaping said anything. The old dragon furiously killed the Inferno dragon again and again. But the Inferno dragon had never truly died. The old, powerful dragon felt too vulnerable at the moment. The old dragon tried to reverse time again, but no matter how many times it tried, the Inferno dragon would only go back to its previous death. There was a wall that stopped the old dragon from rewinding time any further. The old dragon had a feeling that the thing that stopped it wasn't merely a skill to reverse time, but some sort of nature's law. The old dragon abandoned its demeanor and cried, "Stop it! Make it stop!" That cry echoed at the peak and shook the whole mountain. The dragons around the mountain heard the cry. The anger that the cry had expressed came as a shock to all the dragons. Our king hasn't vented its anger yet? Suaping was feeling relieved as he saw how the Inferno dragon continued to absorb the dragon origin. Its body was being constructed, and its strength was increasing rapidly, the more dragon origin it absorbed. Bang! Bang! The old dragon continued to wield the blade of time, but Suaping had never stopped bringing the Inferno dragon back to life. The Inferno dragon would wake up and continue to absorb the dragon origin. The old dragon's efforts, all of it, were futile. Suaping had to admit that the system was awesome. The revival ability had enabled him to challenge a creature at the star rank, a dragon no less, in that cultivation site. Tell your dragon to stop. The old dragon's emotions shifted from fury, to a sense of powerlessness, to despair and pain as the Inferno dragon repeatedly returned to life. The old dragon put away its sorrow and stopped the strikes. I can let you leave. Tell your dragon to stop. The old dragon gazed at Suaping. The old dragon adopted not a soft tone, it was outright begging. Suaping could not help but laugh while still being impaled to the ground. Are you begging me? The old dragon felt its blood boil. Dragons were born to be irritable, not to mention when Suaping's words hurt its heart. The old dragon had never felt so humiliated. A dragon at the star rank was begging a lowly being to stop. Some words didn't have to be explained. Did this human not know that? You fool! The old dragon bit its teeth. Even though unable to move, So Ping's laugh became louder. I am a fool? You are the fool. You don't have the right to call me that. You will be too weak in my eyes when I reach the star rank. You are a dragon at the star rank, but you have thought too highly of yourself. The other dragons may not have your bloodline, but they are dragons nonetheless. If you think otherwise, then you shall not call yourself a dragon. Do you want to be impaled here forever? The old dragon threatened So Ping. So Ping was unable to stop his laughter. I can come here, so I can leave as well. You won't be able to stop me. You. The old dragon was hopping mad. Still, So Ping's words weighed its mind down. The old dragon had only heard about creatures named humans from its ancestors and had never seen one before that day. It had been told that humans had long become extinct. There had not been a trace of humans left in that world. Where did this human come from? The human had such an odd revival ability. The old dragon was in agony. If So Ping was speaking the truth, there was nothing it could do to him. But the purple blood dragons had been ruling that world for centuries. How could the old dragon accept the fact that a human had forced them into such a difficult position where it had to beg for mercy? You call me a lowlife, and a pathetic creature. You belittled my Inferno Dragon. I will let you see how the Inferno Dragon you all think so little of can easily wipe the lot of you when I come here again in the future. So Ping didn't even try to sugarcoat his killing intent and resolution of revenge. He could leave at will since the Inferno Dragon was back. True, he had been impaled, but the system would send him back automatically when his time in the cultivation site was up. No amount of imprisonment could stop that. Or, once he exhausted his energy points and was unable to buy another chance of revival, he could choose to go back to the store. Either way, So Ping had no fear. The old dragon shouted, "You have gone too far." It was kind of absurd. The mountain-like magnificent star-rank dragon was shouting about having gone too far to a human that was nailed to the ground, completely unable to move. The purple blood dragons felt their blood was boiling in humiliation. You gave me no chance to talk when you called me a lowly being. Now, you won't get a chance to talk about terms with me, either. So Ping added coldly. In a fit of rage, the old dragon squeezed So Ping to dust. So Ping came back to life. Bang! The old dragon killed him again. After a dozen times, the old dragon had finished venting its anger. What the hell do you want to do? So Ping offered no reply. Inside the lake, the Inferno Dragon was still sucking in the dragon origin and was becoming more like a purple blood dragon. The Inferno Dragon would carry part of the purple blood dragon's bloodline after this. The red and purple scales gave the Inferno Dragon quite a regal look. Roar! The Inferno Dragon stopped taking in the dragon origin. It was full. The Inferno Dragon was over 30 meters tall, higher than it was before. It was able to float above the lake without flapping its wings. Master, the Inferno Dragon called, gazing at So Ping. So Ping was amazed when he saw the new Inferno Dragon. He thought the Inferno Dragon was even more magnificent than the other purple blood dragons. It had more ferocity. System, is my Inferno Dragon completely safe and sound now? Just to be safe, So Ping had to verify with the system because he had little experience in this regard. The system gave a brief answer. Yes. So Ping was relieved. He called the Inferno Dragon back and darted one last look at the dragon origin. I will leave the dragon origin for you. Take good care of it. I'm leaving now. Do you have any objections? The old dragon and the purple blood dragons were losing their minds because of rage. The blood streaks in their eyes gave them a terrifying look. Leaving? I'm going to keep you under the mountain forever and you'll be under our feet, the old dragon bellowed. The purple blood dragon that was still holding the two spikes suddenly lost grip of one of them. The spike pierced through Suoping. The pain made Suoping frown, but he wasn't surprised. Suoping neither cried nor shouted as he glared at the old dragon. "Take him away!" The old dragon snarled. All the purple blood dragons shared a deep hatred for Suoping. Two of them immediately hurried over, froze Suoping and carried him downhill. Suoping was unable to do anything. He was checking the remaining energy points, though. He had no idea how many energy points he had spent on revivals, he merely had tens of thousands of energy points left. Suoping felt lucky that the Inferno Dragon had managed to build a new body in time. Otherwise, he would have had to cut short their journey and go back when all the energy points were depleted. He would die for good if he forced himself to stay. If he would have had to cut the trip short, he would have to come back again. Now I have to wait for the time to end so I can go back. Suoping saw that he had a dozen hours left. He didn't worry. He just had to endure the pain from the dragon spikes. Whoosh! The two purple blood dragons flew down the mountain. The no-flying rule didn't apply to them. The dragons gathered at the hillside recognized the two as the leaders of the purple blood dragons. Soon, the dragons also noticed that the two purple blood dragons were also carrying a small figure, the human from earlier. The dragons could not believe that Suoping had been subdued with the dragon spikes. Why would they use the dragon spikes that were only intended for punishing dragon sinners on a human being? The dragons, to their astonishment, realized that the human was why their king was so furious. Whoosh! The two purple blood dragons took Suoping directly to the foot of the mountain. Even more dragons were gathered there. The two purple blood dragons landed by the entrance of the mountain and their huge size and ferocity alerted the other dragons present. All the dragons knelt to salute their leaders. When it came to dragonkind, it was demanded for them to kneel and snuggle their heads under their wings when they saluted their leaders. "You will be here and be stomped upon by dragons for all eternity." One of the two purple blood dragons dug a huge pit, threw Suoping inside and sealed Suoping inside the pit with a square made out of void space. The square was transparent and those walking by were able to see Suoping. The purple blood dragons meant to keep Suoping there forever so that all dragons could step on him and humiliate him. Suoping replied with a silent sneer. The purple blood dragons told some guards to walk over and keep an eye on Suoping before they flew back to the mountain top. Out of curiosity, the other dragons moved closer after the two left and looked at Suoping through the transparent seal. The dragon spikes on Suoping stunned all the dragons, making them flinch out of instinct. All dragons were afraid of them. No matter how powerful, any of them would lose all their abilities after being impaled by the dragon spikes. But why would that small creature be impaled? The dragons asked each other. On the other hand, Suoping closed his eyes and waited for the time of his return. The dragon onlookers that gathered outside the seal had gradually left. Some purple blood dragons would step over the seal Suoping was in when they were going uphill. The purple blood dragon which was there to guard the seal sneered. It had learned from their leaders that the vermin had upset the higher UPS, so he would be kept in the seal till the last day of his life. "What are you looking at now? Consider being stomped upon by us dragons an honor," said the purple blood dragon with arrogance. Suoping looked at the dragon from the corner of his eye. Those arrogant words didn't faze him, he didn't have to get upset over an insignificant dragon. "I must cultivate harder after I go back. I must reach the legendary rank as soon as possible." Suoping planned about what he should do after his return. He was hardly able to gain the upper hand in the realm of purple blood dragons when he wasn't at the legendary rank. For the moment, he would avoid returning to that place. He had to focus on his life in the real world. The countdown had finally reached the 0 count. The purple blood dragon was still sneering at Suoping when he began to flicker, and a dark swirl swallowed him whole. The prisoner had vanished. That sudden change of things had scared the purple blood dragon pale. The purple blood dragon hurried to check but failed to pick up any trace of Suoping. It went immediately to report the escape. The old dragon at the star rank and the other purple blood dragons were checking the dragon origin on the mountain top. To their dismay, they found that a great deal of the dragon origin had been lost. It was an amount that should have been enough to heal over 100 wounded void state dragons and help 10 dragons reach the legendary rank. That bastard! What a vermin! I cannot believe that vermin can use our dragon origin to reconstruct a body, not to mention that it received part of our bloodline. That vermin should be condemned. When that human dies, let's find that dragon and skin it. The purple blood dragons were furious. It was then when they learned about the disappearance of their prisoner. The 2 purple blood dragons that had carried Suaping downhill were unable to believe it. They pierced the messenger dragon with their glares. What did you just say? Did he run off? He was impaled and robbed of all his strength, not to mention that I confined the space around him. How could he have possibly run off? The messenger had a gruesome feeling as it was stared at by the old dragon and the other dragon leaders. Truly frightened, the messenger answered with a trembling voice, "My lords, I have been watching him carefully. That bastard suddenly began to flicker and something sucked him in." "You fool!" One of the purple blood dragons smashed the messenger's head. That messenger opened its eyes wide in fear and could not close its eyes before its head was crushed. The dragon died and a puff of soul floated out. A swirl leading to the realm of the dead appeared around the soul, trying to drag it inside. "Sir, save me. It wasn't my fault. Get lost. You cannot even guard a petty human. What do we need you for?" The swirl ate up the soul which was still begging and struggling, but the efforts were futile. "I will go and take a look," said one of the dragons before it dashed down the mountain top. "I cannot believe that the human is gone. **T. No wonder that human was so worry-free when he was here. He had other plans. But we had searched him more than thoroughly. He had no artifact that could produce such effects. What method did he employ?" The other purple blood dragons talked in indignation. They had just imprisoned Suaping half a day before, but he had already run off. It seemed that their threat of imprisoning him for the rest of his life had merely been a joke to him. The old star-rank dragon was not happy at all. It remembered what Suaping had mentioned, about how nothing would be able to stop him if he wanted to leave. The old dragon realized that Suaping had to be telling the truth. Indeed, that was a creature full of mysteries. The old dragon believed that if it could dig out all those mysteries and make them its own, it would be invincible. "Find him. Search the entire world," the old dragon ordered after a moment of silence. Suaping had returned to his store while the entire realm of purple blood dragons was turned upside down. He reappeared in the pet room. He noticed that Joanna was staring at him as soon as he emerged. Confused, Suaping looked down, only to see that his clothes had been torn into nothingness when he fought. He was standing there, utterly naked. The little skeleton was scattered around his feet as bone pieces. The dragon spike had sealed off all of his powers. The little skeleton had also been impaled as well, and had similarly lost all of its powers. Not even the actual skeleton king could have been immune to the dragon spike. This dragon spike, Suaping stared at the huge, blood-red object lying in front of him. It was the dragon spike that was lodged in his chest. After his return, the dragon spike was pulled out from his chest. The system had cured all of his wounds, also taking out the dragon spike. Suaping suddenly thought that his wound had not been for nothing. At the very least, he had picked up quite a powerful object. Suaping placed the dragon spike in the storage space, then he dug out some clothes and got changed. "So? What do you think? Anything appealing to your eyes?" Suaping asked Joanna. Joanna slowly looked away. "There's nothing to see. You have nothing other than the body of a mortal being. I have seen more than enough of them." Suaping replied, "What are you talking about? I'm asking you about my clothes." Joanna looked away. Suaping told the little skeleton, which was still lying on the ground, to take a rest in the nursing pen because the ground was too cold. The little skeleton didn't disagree. The scattered bones began to roll around, headed to one of the nursing pens, where it stayed as a pile of bones. Suaping was speechless. How lazy would the little skeleton have to be to worm its way back to the nursing pen without even standing up to walk back? Suaping gazed at the little skeleton tenderly. It didn't die too many times in the battle. The little skeleton would revive on its own, unless it was attacked by the old star rank dragon, or the other purple blood dragons working. Suaping had to admit that the little skeleton had become a very tough pet after gaining the bloodline of the Skeleton King. Not even a creature at the peak of the fate state would have been able to kill the little skeleton easily. Suaping gave one final look to the little skeleton and left the pet room. He pushed the door open and greeted Tang Ruyan and Zhongling Tong. He went to the test room and summoned the Inferno Dragon. Boom! The Inferno Dragon landed in the test room. It was fortunate that the test room was spacious. Even a dragon that was over 1,000 meters long, like the old star rank dragon, could have fit in the room. As he stared at the Inferno Dragon that currently had part of the purple blood dragon's bloodline, Suaping could almost sense the surge of profound energy in his pet. Suaping supposed that the other dragons of the titled rank would be awed by the Inferno Dragon's might alone. They would kneel in front of this pet. Suaping cast an identification spell on the Inferno Dragon. Inferno Dragon property, pet of the dragon family rank, the intermediate position of the 9th rank, combat strength, 25 aptitude, above average talent skills, elementary agility talent, bloodline skills, purple dragon's breath, bloody dragon soul abilities mastered, demon flame, dragon soul elegy, thunder roar, giant claw, evil bellow, dragon aura, dragon fission. Suaping was impressed by all the skills. He didn't expect that the Inferno Dragon would also reach the intermediate position of the 9th rank, like the little skeleton, upon coming back to life. But compared to the little skeleton, the Inferno Dragon's combat strength was not as good, being at 25. It seemed that the bloodline the little skeleton had acquired was even purer. I myself must make some progress. I'm still at the 7th rank and everyone believes that I am already at the titled rank. I must prove them right. Suaping said to himself. But he didn't rush to cultivate. He had to find out more about the Inferno Dragon first. Suaping didn't have to worry about the Inferno Dragon breaking the test room, so he ordered it to try out all the skills. Some of the legendary skills had amazed him. One of the Inferno Dragon's bloodline skills, the Purple Dragon's Breath, was quite horrifying. It had enough strength to burn and melt the air. One such breath could kill a creature below the void state. After gaining a general idea of his pet's current status, he took the Inferno Dragon out from the test room and told it to have a rest in the nursing pen. In the meantime, Suaping told Tang Ruyan to go across the street to the 5 major families and tell the family heads to stop by. Suaping had used up almost all of the remaining 2 million energy points on revivals on that one visit to the realm of the purple blood dragons. He was in dire need to make more. The best way for him to cultivate was to go to a cultivation site when he went to train the customers' pets. That way, he could make money and progress faster. On top of that, he didn't have to worry about his cultivation going awry. On the off chance that something did happen, he could just start over by committing suicide. What an impeccable way to cultivate! Soon after, Tang Ruyan came back. The family heads weren't following her, the family elders went there instead. The government and the 5 major family heads were all as busy as bees to speed up the reconstruction process. The elders stayed across the street to keep an eye out on Suaping's store, in case he would decide to sell Beast Kings again. They had to be there in time to buy such pets. Mr. Su, what do you require from us? Nice to meet you, Mr. Su. The elders addressed Suaping with respect. Suaping had made a name for himself after the battle against the otherworld Heavenly King. The family elders no longer feared Suaping like before, they began to hold him in awe and veneration. The family elders had also heard about Suaping's deeds in the tower, as well as Qin Dehuang's decision. The Qin family understood that while their family head Qin Dehuang had reached the legendary rank, he didn't join the tower. From then on, the Qin family would always side with Suoping. If the tower decided to go after the Qin family, they would have to turn to Suoping for help. Suoping went straight to the point. I believe you are all quite aware of the pet training quality of my store. The war has just ended and many battle pet warriors are still dealing with grave matters. As such, they're not in the state to come and train their pets, which has affected my business. Go and tell whoever in your family needs to have pets trained to come to my store. I can train any pet below the Beast King rank. The family elders could not, for the life of them, anticipate that Suoping was asking them for business opportunities. There were still wild beast corpses lying around outside the base city which was still mourning. Every line of business had been affected and the pet stores weren't immune to the influence. I see. Mr. Su, you must want to help our young train their pets so that our families can recover faster. Mr. Su, how kind of you. We are beyond words. The family elders thought they had understood Suoping's intention and they thanked him with strong emotions. How respectful of Suoping. But Suoping was speechless. It's not only for the young people. You can come as well if you have such needs, Suoping added. The family elders nodded. The elder from the Qin family was more excited than the others. I've heard from Shuhei that the quality of the pet training is marvelous and one session of training can increase the pet's strength drastically. You can even train a pet so well that an ordinary one at the 9th rank can fight another at the peak of the 9th rank. Now that you have such needs, I don't think I have to ask my family head for permission. I have 4 9th rank pets. Mr. Su, can you train them? One of the pets is of the demon family. Any pet will do, Suoping answered. The elder immediately summoned his battle pets. The other family elders quickly stood in line and told Suoping that they wanted their pets trained as well. Suoping didn't let them down. He registered their information and at the same time, felt it was like a dream. Those family elders were all at the titled rank. Even though they weren't the most outstanding titled battle pet warriors, their pets were all at high ranks and they all chose professional training. A single pet's professional training could get Suoping 100 million astral coins, i.e. 1 million energy points. The 5 family elders left 24 battle pets for Suoping to train. After he accepted all of their orders, to his delight, he saw that the balance of his energy points had drastically increased to more than 24 million. Indeed, more than 20 million energy points. Suoping asked Tang Ruin to see the family elders out. Suoping still found it hard to believe it as he stared at the balance of energy points. Making energy points used to be very hard for him. Even when his store was packed, he would merely make about 1 million per day, unless someone was generous enough to spend 100 million astral coins on professional training, but such customers would not come every day. After all, 100 million was not a small number. The family elders were wealthy enough to afford hundreds of millions easily. Also, they wouldn't want to go with general training considering Suoping's reputation. All the family elders had chosen the expensive professional training and the cost for each pet would be 100 million. Suoping was making energy points much faster than before. 24 million energy points. Upgrading the store to the 3rd level merely requires 10 million energy points. I can upgrade the store right now. For the first time, Suoping was able to make some quick money. But it wasn't easy money. He had to train 24 battle pets and it was professional training all the way, which was a difficult task. If there were merely 1 or 2 battle pets, he could have asked Joanna to handle them. However, 24 was a large number. Suoping believed he would have to get busy for quite some time. I think I must make the training of advanced pets more well known to attract more titled battle pet warriors. That way, I can make money faster. I cannot make money quick enough just with the training of some low-rank pets, Suoping said to himself. System, what are the benefits of the store's 3rd level? Suoping asked. The system answered, a third-level store will have a brand new platform on which pets for rent will be displayed. The system's shop will be upgraded to the third level as well, and there's a chance for more and rarer treasures and skills, even elementary divine skills. Suaping was disappointed. Nothing else. The host will have access to advanced nursing pens. The host can spend some energy points and upgrade the nursing pens. With advanced nursing pens, there is a chance that a pet can pick up some talent skill, and the probability of the pet gaining an elementary talent skill is 10% and 0.01% for a middle-level talent skill, the system elaborated. Suaping raised his eyebrows. Do you mean something like what my pets learned from the enlightening guide? Yes. Let's upgrade the store, then. Suaping decided. He had to upgrade the store at some point, because if he didn't, he wouldn't be able to upgrade the incubation pool, either. If he could get some divine skills from the system's upgraded shop, he believed his strength would witness another increase. If lucky, the system's shop would be of much assistance in his search for strength. Requirements for upgrading the store: first, the real estate area connected to the store under the host's command reaches 100,000 square meters. Second, there are pets trained reaching above average in aptitude. Third, the host shall be at the 9th rank. The third requirement has not been fulfilled. Good luck to the host, the system added. Suaping heaved a sigh and shook his head. You must have underestimated me, he expressed his disappointment at the system. The system, you must be over the moon to have me as your host, Suaping added. Suaping smiled a smug smile. He had one-upped the system that day. My dear, stupid system, you lack the experience of dealing with a poser. First warning, the system cautioned Suaping at once. Suaping chuckled and stopped that train of thought. He wouldn't grant the system the satisfaction of getting back at him. Suaping started to browse through the list of pets and sorted them into different categories. Making sure that each pet's aptitude could become first-rate was complicated, and making a lot of money turned out to be a difficult task. Those pets' aptitude is quite low and some are downright poor. I'll have to make sure their combat strength can increase drastically to make sure that the pets can progress, or at the very least, I have to enlighten the pets first so that they can master the elementary agility skill. I wonder how much their aptitudes can improve with that talent skill. Suaping categorized the pets and summoned them from the pet room group by group. The first two pets were dragons, but only average ones. Those dragons were more than common in the realm of purple blood dragons and would be viewed as unsavory food by the purple dragons. Suaping placed his hands on the dragons' foreheads and started the enlightening process. There was no surprise. Both dragons were successfully enlightened and currently had the elementary agility talent skill. Suaping checked their aptitudes. To his delight, both dragons' aptitudes had increased drastically. Indeed, talent skills are rare and powerful. The pets that can be enlightened are not unlucky ones. After all, the unlucky ones cannot even be enlightened. He had not done any other sorts of training with the two dragons, and yet the two dragons' aptitudes were approaching the average grading. Talent skills were clearly important. Also, with the addition of the elementary agility skill, those dragons' combat strength was raised to 9.9 points. The dragons' combat strengths were previously 9.4 and 9.5 respectively. Considering that they had been at the lower position of the 9th rank, such combat strengths were a little bit better than their rank's average and should be considered common among dragons. Of course, even to raise battle pets to the expected average was already hard work for many battle pet warriors. After all, sometimes, if the training wasn't up to standard, the battle pets could have combat strength that wouldn't even match their ranks. That wasn't rare. For example, it was common for your kid to have trouble passing an exam when everyone else's kid did fine. Training pets was a delicate job. Some might suffer from malnutrition and have a weak constitution if the master wasn't able to take good care of them. There were also occasions when the pets would eat randomly because their masters were away, and they could become weak after getting sick, often because of eating strange herbs. Even pets of higher ranks could lose their combat strength. Not all the Tibetan Mastiffs were able to defeat stray dogs. Suaping didn't know if the two dragons were at the beginning or approaching the end of the 9.9 grading, because there were many more digits behind that decimal point. Either way, Suaping was glad about the aptitude improvement. He was able to tell that the enlightening guide was important. Things would be even better if he had the middle level, instead of elementary agility skill. He could imagine what the middle level agility skill could do when the elementary effect was already stunning. That progress speed was much faster than using other known secret skills. When two pets had similar combat strength but one of them had elementary agility skills, the latter would be able to move 2 times faster as the former and would be able to eliminate the former before it even had time to react. Suaping had the two dragons go back and called out the other pets to enlighten them. Those customers' pets had benefited immensely with that way of training. Of course, he wasn't losing anything, he just had to move his hands. Also, once he finished the professional training, the pets would be at their peak state, their masters would have to go to his store if they wanted to better their pets after that. No other store could help their pets progress beyond that point. That was how he developed loyalty in his customers and gained a monopoly. Soon after, Suaping had enlightened all 24 battle pets. Most of those pets had inferior aptitude and several already had an average aptitude, the latter would be the ones that were already trained well. Suaping categorized the battle pets once more, he would take the battle pets into cultivation sites group by group. There were demons, dragons, and pets of various element families. Few battle pets had nothing but bronze. Those such battle pets usually had strong defense, but compared to pets of the element families, the former's skills were neither practical nor aesthetic. That was why battle pets that only had brute force were usually the choices of poorer people. The first group of pets Suaping was going to train was the one of the demon family. There were 7 of them in total, and none of them were among the most powerful. The strongest of the 7 ranked number 7 of all the demon pets. Suaping was at the 7th rank, but his spirit had been refined enough times for him to host 9 pets at one time. He already had 5 pets of his own, he could sign temporary contracts with 4 extra pets for the next trip to the cultivation site. That was to say, he would have to take 2 trips to train the 7 pets. Suaping didn't go to the demigod burial this time. He chose a cultivation site suitable for pets of the demon family. There were multiple cultivation sites suitable for those pets, like various realms of the undead or that of demons, similar to the realms of dragons. Why are there so many different realms? I thought we lived in one world, Suaping asked the system. It took a while before the system broke the silence and answered. There was once one world, but that was at the beginning of time. However, the world broke into different pieces. What was the cause of that? Suaping inquired. The system didn't answer. Suaping waited for a while, but he didn't hear anything back from the system. Suaping called the system again, but to no avail. He stopped wondering. He knew that finding out the answer wouldn't do him any good, that was a world too far away from him. Suaping took a pick. Then, I will choose the Ashura city of sinful swords. That was a middle-rank cultivation site, and the introduction told him that an Ashura king of swords was the ruler of that realm. Suaping didn't forget to aim at bettering himself in that cultivation site, aside from training those pets. It would be nice if I could find the Ashura king of swords there and learn some sword skill from him, Suaping said to himself. The introduction said that the Ashura king of swords had mastered peerless sword skills, which interested Suaping greatly. Even though he preferred to use his fists, which were simple and brutal enough, he believed that it was good to learn something about other skills and weapons. Skills would never be a burden. He paid the admission fee after he decided. He bought 4 temporary contracts from the systems shop at a cost of 40 energy points, then signed the contracts with the first batch of pets and hurried toward his destination. The Ashura city of sinful swords. The name was not wrong. It was indeed a city, the heart of the world. The city was ancient and desolate. Outside the settlement was a wasteland where few lives could be found. Inside the ancient city roamed a small number of skeletons, and that was all. The highest point of the city was a platform, where a dark, giant sword stood. Sitting in front of the sword was a huge figure, exuding a horrible aura that actually swallowed light, and there was a horn on the head of the figure, but the rest of his extremities were broken. Suaping summoned all 9 pets as soon as he was teleported there, which were his own battle pets and the 4 pets from his customers. He fought on the empty streets of the city, and struggled all the way. Suaping came to the heights point in the city after he was accidentally attacked and killed 7 or 8 times the platform. There were no other undead creatures there, not even evil ghosts. Suaping saw the burly figure sitting in front of the giant sword. He recognized the figure's species at a glance. The figure's momentum was extremely strong, definitely not of the legendary rank, but the star rank. It was more terrifying than the old dragon he had seen in the realm of the purple blood dragons. The figure was ready to strike at any time. The next second, Suaping saw that figure open his eyes. Suaping felt a tingling pain in his eyes the moment they made eye contact. Suaping went straight to the point. I came here bearing no ill will. I'm here to learn sword skills. It went without saying that the guy had slain him. Seriously? Whoosh! Suaping returned to life on the spot. He saw a slight twitch on the rigid face of that figure. It was evident that the systems might had once again been a source of astonishment. Ignorant. Suaping grinned. He tried to sound sophisticated. Sir, I have stated that I came here bearing no ill will. I am merely here seeking to learn skills to wield the sword. Fear not, I wouldn't learn from you for free. You can express your wishes and I certainly will do everything within my power to grant them. That creature gazed at Suaping with a pair of blood-red eyes that conveyed calmness and a glint of sharpness, seemingly able to pierce into Suaping's mind. After a long while, the creature uttered a question. Human, where are you from? Surprised, Suaping blurted out a question that even himself found odd. You know that I'm a human. He was surprised because the dragons had mostly been unaware of his race in the realm of purple blood dragons. Only a few dragons at the Fate State had recognized that he was a human being. All that Suaping was able to see were ghosts and demons in that city. It went without saying that he was the only human present. Humans should be long gone. There weren't any human survivors, the creature went on. Suaping was speechless. Humans had been extinct in the realm of purple blood dragons, and were also extinct in that Ashura city. It seemed that humans were indeed too weak in the realms of other species. Suaping replied, I will be straight with you, since you can tell that I'm a human. I come from another realm, another plane. As for my intention of coming here, as I said, I'm here to learn some sword skills from you. You don't want to waste energy on killing me or imprisoning me, or trying to find out what secrets are hidden within me. Such efforts will all be futile. Can we please get along? The creature remained silent, merely gazing upon Suaping, wondering if he was telling the truth. After a long while, the creature responded, I don't detect any aura of this place from you. You're a human and yet you seek to learn sword skills from me. Never mind. I will teach you. But I'm not sure how much you can learn. Suaping was surprised that the creature had agreed that easily. What about the ferocity and cruelty of Ashura creatures like him? Are you sure? Lying is beneath me, the creature commented calmly. Suaping was just thinking that he would have to die over a dozen times before the creature realized that he couldn't end Suaping's life, until it decided to have a nice talk. The creature turned out to be more understanding than expected. Good. I'm grateful that I can learn from you. My name is Suaping. Now that I'm a student, I should call you teacher. Sir. I wonder, how should I address you? Suaping asked politely. Since the creature decided to treat him with respect, he was going to return the favor. The creature answered after some thought, call me Dusk. I have one condition before I can teach you. Since you can come here, I suppose you can visit other worlds and realms. If you can, I hope you can find a god for me, to find someone? No, to find a god? I can promise you that, Suaping answered. Can you give me a description of the god you're searching for? A description of the god's appearance won't do. The creature's eyes seemed to be glowing after Suaping agreed to the terms. He lifted his greyish hand, and lying in his palm was a green ring on which some clothes had been wrapped. The clothes were of uncommon fibre, for they were giving out a glow. Her name is Kangyu, Shen Kangyu. Dusk stared at the green ring in his hand with affection. The aura on this ring belonged to her, and she looks like this. With that said, a mass of darkness appeared in front of Dusk, and the mist gradually changed into a fair lady wearing green. The fair lady was imbued in holy light, and her beauty was impeccable. Suaping had only seen such a perfect look on Joanna. Both ladies seemed as if they had been carved out of jade. The difference was that Joanna was more arrogant, while this fair lady was gentler. Suaping committed that look and aura to memory. He nodded. I will try and track her down for you in the realms of the gods. But I cannot promise you speedy results. After all, there are many realms where gods reside, and to find a particular god is like finding a needle in a haystack. However, I can promise you this. If I find her, I will tell her that you are looking for her. Suaping sounded serious, and Dusk nodded. The former sharpness in his eyes had vanished. It's okay. I can wait. I've been waiting for her for 100,000 years. I changed myself from a demigod to this form, just to wait for her. I can wait some more. 100,000 years? Suaping was shocked by the number. A human being at the Fate realm could only prolong his or her life to about 10,000 years, and would have to rely on some mysterious herbs. 100,000 years was too long a time, and too distant in the ancient past. Suaping was unable to believe that the creature was a degraded being that used to be a demigod. No wonder he knew a goddess. No offense, but I can't help being curious. What is your relationship with that goddess? Siblings? Suaping asked. He thought of a girl who was always arguing with him. Dusk answered, you can say that she is my master. She is a pure-blood god who can sign contracts with demigods to make them pets. Anyway, find her for me, if you can. Tell her that Dusk has been waiting for her here. She will know which place I'm talking about. Suaping didn't expect that the goddess was the creature's master. Did he wait for his master for 100,000 years? Suaping suddenly felt a surge of sadness. You have my word. I will try my best to find her for you. Dusk replied, I shall start teaching you sword skills from this moment on, then. What made you think you could come here to learn sword skills? Who told you I was good with swords? Suaping couldn't have said that the system had told him that. He just made up a reply, it's a complicated matter. Well, I've promised you that I'll try my best. I do hope you can do the same. Dusk cast another glance at Suaping but didn't press the latter for a more specific answer. He pocketed the green ring and stood up. My way of wielding the sword is quite aggressive. Bloodthirst and violence have been integrated with the way I fight, after fighting here for years. One shall never learn that way if there's a lack of a strong will, determination, and profound killing intent. Do you understand? Suaping smiled. Of course. So, let's see if you can survive this. Dusk announced. A dark sword had appeared in Dusk's hand before Suaping could ready himself. He approached Suaping instantly. The wind stirred up by that move had blown away the dust around Suaping, and even his hair had been blown back. Die! Dusk gave Suaping a ghastly stare. The light of the sword was shining in all radiance. At that moment, Suaping could have sworn he was hearing ghosts crying and screaming. The tides of darkness were smashing down him and the ghosts were grabbing him. He felt as if he had been left in the world all by himself. One move and ghosts cried. Suaping's heart skipped a beat, but he soon adjusted himself. Killing intent rose from his eyes and the force field appeared behind him. Ghosts and demons were dancing around in the ocean of blood. His killing intent was not any weaker than that of Dusk. Interesting. Dusk was surprised. Such pungent killing intent. Also, look at the force field view. It's a living hell. There's a living hell in the mind of this human. What has he gone through? Whoosh! The dark sword was swept over by Suo Ping's hair. The darkness receded and the black sword was sheathed. Dusk looked at Suo Ping. A moment later, he shook his head in self-mockery and said, I would have killed you directly 100,000 years ago. But I don't think I'm any better than you. You're qualified to learn from me. Suo Ping cooled himself down and killing intent ebbed away from his face. He was very proficient in controlling his killing intent by that point. The force field disappeared. Suo Ping was able to understand what Dusk was referring to. 100,000 years before, Dusk used to be a demigod. One of his kind would naturally end the life of someone that vicious. I may have violence in my heart but I've never killed an innocent. Suo Ping chuckled. He wasn't defending himself. It was more like a self-affirmation, or telling this to the fate manipulating him, a force he was unable to see. Dusk nodded. He didn't mean to probe further. I will teach you a skill called Sin Cutter. It bears such a name but the skill itself is the most sinister. It is best learned in a harsh environment. Be ready. Sure. Suo Ping nodded. Without further ado, Dusk began the lesson. First, Dusk explained the principles of the skill and then passed on the skill's methodology directly to Suo Ping's mind. Suo Ping didn't resist. He wasn't afraid, he could not die in that realm, and even if Dusk were to search his memory while he did so, he wouldn't mind. Dusk would not threaten Suo Ping in any way, even if he were able to see the existence of the system. The system was linked to Suo Ping. When his time in the cultivation site ended, Suo Ping would go back to the store. Dusk would have to stay in that realm, no matter how eager he was to know more about those secrets. Dusk didn't try searching Suo Ping's memories. Dusk took Suo Ping to the city after passing him the method and began teaching through practice. Suo Ping progressed rapidly, thanks to the revivals. He was a smart man, so he was soon able to gain a fundamental idea. His understanding of swords was deepened. Time flew. Suo Ping had stayed in the city for 8 days. He would train his sword skills with Dusk every day and many skeletons and ghosts in the city had become his sparring partners. Dusk had a complete knowledge of where the most powerful beings in the city were gathered. Dusk would progressively take him to the most powerful beings to fight against them, which had further facilitated Suo Ping's growth. He had known next to nothing about swords before that visit. At the moment he had already become an expert to a certain degree. Of course, he didn't forget about the pet training during that time. He had summoned all of his pets. Dusk had recognized the Skeleton King's bloodline the moment he had seen the little skeleton. As for the 4 pets of the demon family, that city was the perfect environment for their training. Suo Ping asked Dusk to help him set up the training for the pets. As a result, they had trained as hard as Suo Ping during those 8 days. The pets' potentials were being unleashed to the fullest extent due to the repeated deaths. Suo Ping would go back in 2 more days. During the last 2 days, same as before, Suo Ping practiced the sword with Dusk while the little skeleton took the pets to continue their training. It was able to improve as well through this method. However, the little skeleton's progress was limited in that cultivation site was limited. Only the undead aura could be of any help to this pet. 10 days passed. Suo Ping returned to his store. His customers' pets' aptitudes had risen to an above-average grade, but they weren't first-rate yet. Suo Ping was not surprised, after all, he had been focusing on himself during the past 10 days. He had many pets in his store for professional training and he didn't plan on finishing the training of all the pets within a couple of days. So, he chose to return to the cultivation site with the 4 pets of the demon family again, right after arriving at the store. Suo Ping went to see Dusk and his appearance surprised him, since he had witnessed how Suo Ping had been teleported away. Suo Ping did this to show Dusk that he wasn't lying. Dusk was clearly friendlier as he gazed at Suaping. "Sir, I'm here again to see you." Suaping had finally reached the platform after a couple of revivals. Dusk gazed at Suaping. "Are you here to practice the sword again?" "Yes. You have mastered the fundamentals of the Sin Cutter, but you cannot unleash its full strength yet. You lack some demonic energy in you," Dusk pointed out. Suaping nodded in agreement. He had always felt something was missing when he was using the skill. "You will need some of that energy if you want to learn it in full," Dusk continued. "There was once an Ashura king in the city, and I made myself an Ashura by taking his flesh and blood. I have some of that blood left. You'll have to drink the blood if you wish to complete the learning of that skill." Suaping paused for 1 second before he answered, "No problem." The fact that Suaping had answered so readily came as a surprise to Dusk. With a frown, Dusk cautioned Suaping, "Don't get ahead of yourself. Once you drink the blood, you'll surely be able to master the skill, but you'll have some energy of the Ashura species within you. You can be exposed when you go to a god realm. Even the creatures of the world you're from will resist you." Suaping looked into Dusk's eyes. "Sir, you have those concerns, but you still told me that." "Sir, I believe you hope that I can take the blood." Dusk was taken aback. After a moment of silence, Dusk answered, "You'll make the decision. You will alert the gods if you carry the Ashura energy and go to one of their realms. I think that'll help you find the one I'm looking for even faster. You're not afraid of death, after all, so alerting the gods is nothing for you." Suaping spent some time deliberating. "I'll take the blood." Dusk felt necessary to ask again, "Have you thought it through?" "Yes." Suaping nodded. Just then, Suaping was asking the system if there could be any side effects after drinking the blood. The system presented Suaping with a pleasant surprise. According to its answer, the Ashura race was from the Archean times, and the blood of the Ashura king could become a nutrient to the solar bulwark. Suaping would be able to hide the Ashura energy inside the solar bulwark, and the gods would be unable to detect it. "Okay." A dark earthen bowl appeared in Dusk's hand, and within was some dark liquid with a pungent smell. "This is the blood," said Dusk. Suaping felt that the liquid was more like ink. Suaping took the bowl without hesitation. He was able to tell that Dusk had been holding the bowl tightly when he made a grab for it. Dusk had let go of the bowl in the end. Suaping then drank the blood. There was a foul taste in his mouth. The cold blood turned warm inside him, until it was burning and spreading all across his body. He felt he was on fire. The pain made Suaping scream. Bang! The bowl fell to the ground. Suaping was scratching his hair. His eyes turned red and were jittering oddly. The pain almost drove Suaping crazy. "Ah!" Suaping shouted. Something seemed to have been alerted inside of Suaping, and the burning sensation was quickly defeated. Suaping gradually came back to his senses. He was able to endure the pain as it gradually receded. The popping veins on his face began to withdraw and he cooled down. But he was paler than before. Suaping opened his eyes, which had recovered, but there was a trace of crimson color buried deep inside them. Phew! Suaping breathed in relief. The pain was going away and strength was rising in him. He could not tell why, but he was feeling comfortable. The vortexes in his cell cores were being filled up. How? Dusk was surprised about the unexpected change. Suaping seemed to carry some Ashura energy, but it wasn't pure. Is it because Suaping didn't take enough blood? Suaping turned his hands and a red sword appeared. He got the sword when he was training in the city after he killed a Fate State demon. He had to rely on his revivals to kill it. Whoosh! Suaping wielded the red sword, a surge of energy burst out from him. There seemed to be a shadow behind him. When he wielded the sword, so did the shadow. The void trembled. The air was cut open. The light of the sword flashed away. Suaping put down the sword with delight. What a powerful move! That should be the true force of the Sin Cutter. One cut to crack the air. He had not even merged with the little skeleton yet. He had achieved that by himself. To be able to cut the air meant the strength of that move was close to the void state. Thank you, sir, said Suaping. Dusk shook his head. I agreed to teach you sword skills because I only saw demons, undead creatures, and ghosts here for such a long time. Your presence is a weird thing. I've taught you my skill, so I hope you can deliver your promise. Suaping nodded. I will spare no pains in finding that goddess for you. Dusk nodded. He thought of something and took out a long case. You can have this sword since you've learned the skill. I have one myself. I have no use for it, given that I don't practice the use of two swords at the same time. Dusk handed the case to Suaping. Suaping immediately accepted it. The case was heavy and cold, as if it were made of ice. He opened the case right then. Lying in the case was a dark sword with a curved back. A cold glare was bouncing off from the sword. The crimson gemstones embedded on the handle stood out against the darkness. Suaping grabbed the handle, and immediately felt something was pulling his hand. It was as if the sword were going to merge with his hand. It was a spooky feeling. Although surprised, Suaping didn't let go. He wasn't afraid of death in that place. He took out the sword and poured in his energy. The white bandage on the handle came to life and reached for his hand. It became even redder, and it tied his hand with the handle so tightly that he couldn't even shake the sword off. There was a wicked and cold feeling at the same time. It crept into him through his hand, searching for the energy inside him and seeking to devour it. Suaping tried to suppress the wicked energy with his astral powers, but they were swallowed at once. The next second, Suaping saw a dark glow rise from the blade. The air cracked where the dark glow shone. The blade itself had cracked the space. Suaping was surprised. This must be an amazing sword. Are you sure I can have it? Suaping asked. Suaping felt flattered. After all, he and Dusk had only known each other for merely a dozen days and they had yet to forge a deep relationship. Dusk had also taught him the skill. Suaping felt this gesture was a little bit too much. You will have enough strength to compete against those at the fate state with this sword, and you'll be able to kill them easily while working with your pet. Your only true foes will only be those at the star rank and above. At the very least, this will ensure that you remain peerless below the star rank, Dusk explained. Suaping looked into his eyes. Remember our agreement, Dusk stated. Suaping nodded. I won't forget. In the following 10 days, Suaping continued to practice his sword skill in the city, under Dusk's guidance. He progressed by leaps and bounds. He had set aside more time to train the pets this time around. He was able to ensure that his customers' pets would gain formidable skills. The professional training of the 4 pets was completed and their respective combat strengths had increased beyond the 10-point mark. The best of the 4 pets already had a combat strength of 15 points, close to an ocean state beast king. Once he returned to his store, he gathered the other pets of the demon family and returned to Ashura city. Time moved on. Suaping knew that it was time to say goodbye to the city after the second group of demon pets had finished their training. He went to bid farewell to Dusk. Dusk was not sorry to see that Suaping had to leave. Rather, he hoped Suaping would finish training as early as possible to go and find the goddess for him. Their goodbye was a brief one. Dusk watched as Suaping took off. Sadness climbed into Dusk's eyes as Suaping was sucked into the swirl and disappeared. I hope you remember our agreement. I hope you're still alive, and find this place. Dusk looked at his hand. His skin was colorless and dried. Even an Ashura cannot live forever. Did the destiny that my father spoke of, leave? Dusk's murmurs vanished. Silence prevailed on the platform, and the entire city which had turned deadly still again. Back in the store, Suaping left the trained pets and then picked out dragons for the next training rounds. He didn't choose to go to the realm of purple blood dragons, it was another dragon realm. The purpose of his trip was to train the pets, not to seek fights. If the star-rank dragon detected his appearance in the realm of purple blood dragons, it would surely send out fate state dragons to hunt him down. This would deprive him of the time needed to train the pets. He also claimed he would return to that dragon realm when the Inferno dragon became more powerful than the purple blood dragons. The time had not come yet. Suiping chose another dragon realm and resumed his pet training the journey. While Suiping was busy going about his pet training business, war was raging in the Hanchinj base city. The windmills and other pieces of infrastructure outside the base city had been destroyed, wild beasts abounded. Blood had tainted the city wall. There were piles of corpses by the foot of the wall. The city was in a state of emergency. We need help on the north side. There are 16 wild beasts at the 9th rank. We're losing the north side. Emergency on the east side. We have beast kings heading to the east. 2 beast kings on the east. Help! Help! Why aren't there any reinforcements? Were we abandoned? The commanding center inside the Hanchinj base city was receiving a swamp of calls asking for help. People sounded desperate. There were wild beasts outside, and the base city was on the verge of collapsing. But no more battle pet warriors were joining in the fight. The defense was weakening. Hopeless. The guards and the Xian family which was guarding the east side had abandoned hope when 2 beast kings showed up among the wild beasts attacking the east side. They had received no information about the likely arrival of beast kings. The beast kings had been hiding, only showing themselves at this critical moment. To make matters worse, no one had heard anything about any legendary battle pet warriors going to help. The government wouldn't have hidden the presence of any legendary battle pet warriors, because that would be news that could give hope to the people. They were just glad that they hadn't been fed with any fake information of any legendary battle pet warriors going to their aid when no one was. There were no legendary battle pet warriors, but there were beast kings. The warriors and the generals' faces and hearts were clouded. Given its status as a Class B base city, Hanchinj didn't have the ability to fight against beast kings. Many battle pet warriors, including titled ones, had arrived from other base cities to lend a hand. Still, that was still not enough when beast kings were striking. The news that beast kings were approaching the east side had stunned the entire commanding center into silence. All the people who were hurrying to and fro stopped in their tracks. Beast kings? People could see the shared feeling of despair in everyone's eyes. Why? Why? We're fighting so hard. Why did this have to happen to us? Did God wish for the Hanchinj base city to perish? People turned their eyes to the mayor. The mayor was just as pale as anyone else. He held a file in his trembling hands. He was sure they had not received fake information. He also knew that no legendary battle pet warrior from the tower would be helping them. He had been told that the tower was in a state of emergency and no one was able to spare any time to help. The mayor could neither think, nor see. The mayor had been running around and asking for help during the past week. He had begged in all manners he could think of, barely taking any rest for a week. That piece of bad news had almost rendered him unconscious. Bang! He slumped in his chair, utterly desperate. He thought of something. He discarded his sadness, stood up, and shouted, "Let's move all the backup warriors and materials to the east. Send someone to escort the civilians out of the base city from the south. Since the beast kings are coming from the east, let's deal with them on the east side." The others were shocked by the order. One of the generals said, "Sir, we have sent out all the spare hands to the battlefront. We only have the recruits of the reservoir service." The other added, "About evacuating. The passageways had been destroyed by the wild beasts, we would have to spend some effort in clearing them. We may encounter more wild beasts in the process." "Sir, are you sure about the evacuation?" They had not evacuated for that very reason. The mayor turned even paler. "No more backup forces? Is this the end of the Hanchinj base city?" It seemed that the old major had lost all of his vigor in that second, which saddened everyone. Right then, another piece of information arrived. "It's about the east side. There's a third beast king, but this one is going after the other two beast kings. The third one is fighting the two already. Someone came to help. I see a person standing on that beast king. We have reinforcements. We have reinforcements. The person who called in to report sounded excited, happy enough to weep. They had been saved from hell.